That's okay. Alright, this is a early January update of the backyard. The coldest we've gotten so far this winter was 21 degrees. We've had numerous nights in the mid-20s, upper 20s, and the rest have basically been in the 30s, maybe a couple of nights around 40, since late November, early December. So, just a quick look here. The mint is doing okay up in this box. The tarragon died. Parsley here is doing well, and there's a lot of parsley around. I'll show you. So it's actually happy. That mint may have just gotten too dry, or it might be the cold.
But it'll come back.
But it'll come back for sure. Mint is tough. All this stuff, this is all volunteer parsley.
That came out of this big pot here.
It came out of the pot here.
Went to seed, and then it's just
spreading throughout the yard, and which is great.
These are mustard greens.
Mustard greens there. They're happy.
Volunteers.
A little kind of herb area that we have fenced off to keep the dogs out. There's more parsley. There's the oregano, which has a little bit of freeze damage on some of the leaves, but a lot of them are doing well. And I've seen up at higher elevations, it'll actually live under the snow for several months. So it likes the cold, generally. Sage looks okay. Has some bug bites and it's a little droopy. Oh yeah, and the dill, which we had mentioned in our seed video for this winter. We just basically threw all the dill here, and none of it's very big. It's about as tall as my fist, maybe. Here's probably the best one, if I can avoid falling over. So anyways, nothing impressive. Not super happy at any season or anything here.
A little bit of a red penstemon there that's not totally loving that spot. We may move
this one right
it.
here. That was an early addition.
And then one of your citrus volunteers behind it.
Some kind of citrus. I don't remember throwing any seeds out here or anything, but it's made it through the 21 degree night and all the rest. It's definitely a little warmer here next to the house than that. That temperature is taken about 10 feet up in the air in the yard. So we have a little miniature greenhouse here. It's up against the house. And I'll open it up. A little strap here to kind of keep it closed. And we put all of Ellen's succulents in here and whatever else needs a few degrees of help. So, these are a bunch of kumquat seedlings that I planted from seeds of fruit we've eaten. This is the only survivor of the cuttings I took late last year of olives and mulberries. Yeah, and it's dropped most of its leaves, but the ones that are on there have stayed for quite a while.
That's Arbequina.
Arbequina olive, yeah. And here's all the succulents that kind of hide out in here. They don't get much sun, but they kind of just hibernate almost. They definitely would not survive out in the open, or likely would not survive out in the open. It's just too cold for them, but they hang out in there for the winter.
And then they look really cool in the summer.
Yeah, they look beautiful. So we'll do this one-handed. You want to do that? No.
Yeah.
Alright. We have a few things over here. This is the asparagus. The Iatoi onions are happy. We have them in numerous places throughout the yard, but they're still green as of now.
Some wildflowers.
Yeah, a lot of wildflowers, little seedlings and volunteers.
Parsley all the way down here.
Parsley, yeah, there's a parsley here, and there's one up, actually somehow got up by the water tank.
There's the overflow.
Yeah, right up here. So, I would be okay with parsley all over the yard, honestly. I'd like to put it in different dishes.
And this, most of what you see though in the foreground here is going to be a pink wildflower.
Yeah, and that's all going to fill in the spring and just be beautiful. The pomegranate here has dropped all its leaves. The persimmon's dropped all its leaves.
We got a couple fruit off of that.
Yeah, I think we had 2. I think we had 3 originally, and it dropped 1 on its own, and then we got 2. Head out here real quick. One of our pecans. All its leaves are dropped. This is the boysenberry in here, and it actually still has a little bit of green, but it's basically done for the winter. This is the black raspberry jewel, and it's dropped all its leaves. This stick poked its end down, and this type of, I can't remember what it's type it's called, but it sends the end of its branches or whatever down into the ground and will root there, and then a new one will grow. So that's how it spreads in the wild. So hopefully at some point, maybe this is one of our only few survivors from the berry experiment. Hopefully this one will spread throughout this whole little patch.
All these little green sprouts here are Austrian snow peas that we just scattered, but they obviously liked it right there, or
Yeah, for
washed
whatever
out
reason.
down there.
Yeah, maybe that's the lowest spot of this area here, and they got enough water, or who knows. Let's see how the citrus is doing. And supposedly the kumquats can get down into the low 20s, but I've been trying to kind of give them a little extra protection. So
They have incandescent Christmas lights.
right, and I've only put those on the nights when it's going to be basically when I think it's going to be below 30. So if it's 35 or 36, I leave them off. But anyways, it's gotten a little bit lighter, the leaves. They've turned a little yellow. That is the miwa. And then we'll show the Nagami. And it's done about the same thing. It has more freeze damage here. Some of these tender leaves are
But
quite burnt.
the lights are a little further down on this.
The light drooped off or got knocked down a little bit. But anyways, so it has some cold damage and some leaves are okay. I think this here is actually from below the graft, but I'm not going to cut it off until the spring. And it's definitely, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but they all have a yellow tinge to the leaves, but hopefully if it makes it, it'll become more vibrant in the spring and summer when it's hot and it's happy. There's the blue agave that are kind of in our starting bed. There's a little artichoke agave, I think it is. These are all wildflowers here. There are a ton of volunteers of different types, but I'll clip this. This here, we only grew one bed from our square foot garden. We actually got started pretty late, about a month later than we had previously. So they're all pretty small still. But it looks like pretty much everything's going finally. We have, this is a celery, and I only see one of them so far, but we have carrots. Radishes are always the quickest to go or grow.
Radishes.
Few radishes, 2 little areas. We have
Isn't it?
peas.
Lettuce is coming up.
Yeah.
Arugula likes the cold here.
So, anyways.
More Eotoi in this one here.
Right, yeah, they're all
And again,
over.
we have some Christmas lights in here that are on a timer for the cold nights too.
Right, these are incandescent cord lights, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but just to give it a couple extra degrees. When I've been watching the temperature in here, I have a thermometer up here that I can reach from in the house, and then the main one, which is up there on that pole. So usually it's about 4 to 6 degrees warmer in here than out, with it covered and the lights on.
And
so
this is just covered with a thrift store fitted sheet
right,
over the top.
right, and it has we have the PVC frame that we can use for netting or to cover it when it's cold or whatever. I'll cover that up when I'm done. We're almost done here. I'm pretty close here. This is another jujube. We really liked our first one that we have over here. Let's see if I can point at it actually, somewhere in here. It made a fair amount of fruit for a 1-year-old tree, and we wanted another one to help pollinate. So that was a Lee that we had gotten from Verde River Growers. And this one here is a Lang that came from Home Depot. And we got this after it had actually dropped its leaves. So we'll see. Hopefully it didn't die at Home Depot when we got a dead tree here. Hopefully it had just gone dormant. And it went dormant. We had watched it when we go to Home Depot, and it had gone dormant about the same time as our tree in the ground. So
that's a Montmorency cherry.
Montmorency cherry.
It's cute, but it has never really produced fruit.
Right, and it's super dwarfed. I mean, the trunk is decently wide, but it's been in the ground for 3 years, and it's maybe barely 6 feet tall compared to the apricot. It's probably 10 or 12 feet tall. So we wanted something to definitely fill in this area and provide a little bit of sun protection in the summer. So since this thing, and I don't know if it had been labeled as dwarf or semi-dwarf, we aren't sure.
I didn't notice at the time that it said that, or I probably wouldn't have chosen it, but...
Right, and especially for this spot, it maybe would have been better somewhere else, but we're going to leave it there and put taller trees around it. Grapes have all gone dormant. Yarrow.
Still wants to blossom.
Yeah. Actually has some flowers it's working on here.
Pretty red flowers.
And then we have a ton of these, what?
It'll be larkspur.
Larkspur, okay. And they're beautiful when they blossom, and we've just kind of scattered the seeds around, and honestly some places it looks like a dichondra field. Here's a Asian radish that volunteered and grew up under this big stone. Yeah. So this grew just this fall and early winter, and it's gone to seed, and we're just going to scatter the seeds around and keep using them to break up the soil and provide some greenery and whatnot. There's mustard greens.
Choke out our bad weeds.
Yeah. Right now the one that's happening is fillery.
I did find a little bit of London Rocket, and we like to give those to the chickens for greens, along with the mustard greens. They love the mustard greens and the London Rocket that grow around here.
And the hops have all gone dormant. And this fig, Violette de Bordeaux fig, has gone dormant. And the comfrey we thought had died, but there's a little leaf sticking out there. So it's just kind of maybe like a placeholder until the spring, and it'll try again. It didn't really take off this summer, and I don't know if it was just too hot for it, or not enough water, too dry, who knows. So anyways, but it's hanging on, poking its little head out there. Alright, that's it for the update for the backyard.
Stupid dog.
And
Willie! Gross. Move it.
alright.
That's what happens when you eat all the Concord grapes you can find.
Oh, yummy.
No.
Oh no, not yummy.
I mean, look at this guy, just wants it. He's like, that's been pre-chewed.
Alright, that's enough.
Sorry, I thought that was